This is a particular corporate or product recall, and it's actually a part of a bike line or a part of a bike line. Kind of hard to hear when they say recall from a corporate, like they seem like they did the right thing. And that is in itself pretty amazing if they seem to be doing the right thing. Yes, it's Trek. Trek recalls bicycles with coaster brakes and replacement rear wheel due to crash hazard. Crash hazard. Coaster brakes. If you don't know what a coaster brake is usually a single speed bike, and you pedal backwards and it stops. And that's what they look like on the bike itself. It's not all coaster brakes that are recalled here. Just ones that are specific to the Trek models that I'll show you here in a second that have been affected. And more recently, this recall just been announced on the 13th of November of 2025. So if you're watching this at a later date, yeah, this is when it was issued. And we are talking about the bikes that are affected or kids' bikes. That's a pretty serious thing. When a kid's bike in recall in the same sentence, everybody should perk up, especially in the cycling industry, regardless if it's a bike from Trek or from any other brand or from a department store. Those need to be addressed. Okay, let's back up. How is a recall issued? Well, basically, they have to report it. Consumer Product Safety Commission, right? That's here in the States. I'm sure in other countries they have a similar process, but that particular has to be filed with them with this particular information. And then the company itself is responsible to issue all those who bought the bike. So if the bike was sold to an independent bike shop, the independent bike shop sold it to a customer, that particular memo hopefully is captured within the transaction and sent that individual an email, a letter, a phone call, or something, a notification of this particular recall of the bike that they purchased. Okay, this is usually good and very effective on bikes that are still currently in the sales room floor or been sold within a short period of time recently, which is meant to be, sooner than later, right? This one's a newer one. And it affects somewhere around 68,000 units in the US and about 6,800 who are sold in Canada. Apparently, they don't get a lot of kids' bikes in Canada because I believe they do more toboggan and hockey. Just kidding. Let's just say that's a lot. Over 70,000 units have been identified within Trek bike line, and some of these models may have leaked out to other countries. It's not specified here. Maybe it's just isolated. Maybe these particular units were only available in the United States or Canada. It's not just the kids' bikes. I mean, there's a couple different models, like a 12-inch, 20-inch, or 16-inch. Basically, the coaster brake was not stopping, which is pretty scary for your little kid, your little ankle biter going down the hill, just learning how to ride, and all of a sudden they're trying to pedal backwards and to stop, and they don't stop. The fortunate news about this, there was no reporting of any injuries or any of that, which is pretty amazing considering over 70,000 units were sold out in the wild, going to be used. So essentially, what most likely happened, the mechanics from Trek and Trek stores and independent bike stores and customers are going, hey, we've had enough of these non-incident failures or not working properly on these models here. I have them listed up. It's 16, 12, 20-inch, mainly on two models of kids' bikes, the Precaliber, which is a play of words of the Gary Fisher Excalibur, Junior Precaliber. That's where the name came from. Just give you a little side note. And also in their Townie, I think their Townie single speeds. Basically, the Townie one is basically their basic cruiser from Electra brand, which Trek owns. And these are the years that they're issued, which is right now. These bike models, they actually caught this within the last year, because the first two models here, the 16 Precaliber and the 20 Precaliber 24 was the model so affected. It could be more of the newer ones or just kind of roping in the older models. But this is a coaster brake hub on a kid's bike. The company, Trek, take care of these, basically. They have on either here, or I should put a link in the description below. There's a serial number. You can plug in the serial number of the bike on the Trek website, and it'll give you directions what you need to do. Essentially what you need to do, if you identify this, take it to your local Trek dealer. If you don't have a Trek dealer close to you, go through them on their website. It's not safe. Don't let your kids ride on this. I remember back in the dumb 70s, without helmets, we would take our coaster brakes apart, take out the little wedge shims that would stop, and put it back in, and all of a sudden we would have a freewheel. And if we didn't have a handbrake, we were basically using our feet like Flintstones. So this is basically puts that into that scenario, which is not safe whatsoever. Say 2 years back, so a lot of these most likely have not hit the used market yet, in the sense that the kids outgrew them and it's gone to. So a lot of these bikes most likely are with the original owners. So this is a great capture, possible capture of these bikes being fixed and notifying the original owners, which is spectacular, especially since they've not reported any injury or any of that. So that is a good thing. These, if they're ignored or can't get a hold of the people, or they don't know, they just, whatever, don't pay attention, they don't really like their kids that much, whatever the story may be, these bikes may end up on the used market here on and after on and after on. And therefore, so from years from now, we need to still keep, that's the burden of a bike shop. The mechanic's like, oh, I think that was part of the recall back in X date. Let's look it up. That's the direction. You go through this website, punch in the number, the names, or what have you, boom. If it's there, yes. It's not, it's not. All these companies had several recalls. If you're even out of the United States, if you're not in, if you're in Europe or in Canada, what have you, you can still go to these websites and look up the recall. The recall doesn't stop at the border. The products may have, but the recall hasn't stopped. So hopefully they can acquire and get these bikes back, and basically they have replacement wheels. There goes to the costs. So we identified somewhere over 70,000 of these units have been affected. And then you go to the algorithm or the equation, and they've had several amount of these fail to basically go up to the product manager and go, hey, we have a problem with this hub. X amount of them are coming back pretty quickly. What should we do? And as a service manager working at a Trek store, you get that, you issue it in, and it's all electronic capture. There's a lot of these electronic nowadays, and it's easy to identify pretty quickly. They're getting a lot of these back. So therefore, they identified the issue, must be a lot of them, and then the average cost of settlements is like, well, should that really be a factor when you're talking about kids' bikes and kids' safety? Oh, hell, you do not. The PR of a child being hurt or killed by something like this, and you're selling a kid product, is you will do everything to prevent that. There's almost like you take that number than your average and you just 10x that, because that can put a company under. Then that cost equation. Okay, you got 70,000 units, right? How much is that going to cost Trek? Well, it's still going to be a cost for them, because they need to get those wheels in to the United States and Canada under the recall for replacement. There's a cost there. Is the company that made the coaster brakes going to pay for that cost? Is it going to be split? Is it whatever the case may be? And they don't specify what brand of coaster brake this is. They just say China. So it's made in China. Nothing against China. They build a lot of stuff. I'm hoping that particular brand, if it's only 70,000 coaster brakes, were they only used on Treks As we all know within the cycling realm, that brands carry a lot of the same componentry groups and so forth. So we'll have to see. If some other company that did use this particular coaster brake on their kids' line, are they going to issue recalls themselves? In any case, there's a cost equation of having that done, plus service techs, shipping it to the stores, all those things. Because, you have to, the independent bike shop is going to have to get the part and also a labor credit, which is assumed. And then the corporate stores obviously will be absorbed within the actual company itself. But 70,000 units, and that's quite a bit. I mean, it's quite a few kids' bikes, and that as a bike shop, you have those on the floor. You just pull them off, and switch out the wheels, and you're good to go. And you mark it, you identify it. They will calculate on the back end of how many serial numbers have been captured, and at some rate, within a year or two, they'll have actual numbers of how many they've gotten hold of and replaced, and how many have still out there in the wild. So, but good for them to identify it, which is great. Even within the same model year, which is amazing. It's one of those things where it's kids. You want them to be safe in riding, and you don't want to have them anything that'll disrupt them learning how to ride, because it's very important. And we want kids to be safe. We want to have the best experience possible. And it gives them a sense of freedom when they get older and all that. And even in that older age, like my chronic aging right now, almost carbon dating here soon, it's really good for your health, heart, mind, soul, if you believe in that, all those kinds of things. So I wanted to feature this specific one, Trek recall bicycle coaster brakes. It might be on other brands. It doesn't specify that. Not sure. Don't know. Hopefully, if other brands did use this particular coaster brake, they're bringing it out. The two brands that are affected is under the Trek umbrella. Again, recap: Electra, single speed coaster brakes made in 2026. And then most of the stuff is 2026, but they may have had a couple 2024s, 2025s there, and the 16-inch and then a 20-inch wheel Precaliber Treks bikes. And they look like this, similar to these. So in any case, wanted to bring that out. Number one, kid safety first, not really targeting the company in the sense that, hey, Trek and Electra brand, they did a solid and got this out soon, and hopefully give them a hand for trying to be proactive on that for sure. Thanks for watching the latest installment of the top news of As the Wheel Turns, So Do Days of Our Rides opinion piece. Hopefully you got some insights of what a perspective of a bike shop is with the current events that are going on around them. Yeah, it's still a little muddy waters, but week in and week out, we try to do our best and navigate that for our customers and our community. Well, in any case, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Until next time, have a wonderful day.